All right, we'll go ahead and start with our post-race interview with our race winner, Kyle Busch, driver of the number 18 M&M's Brown Toyota. This is Kyle's 24th win in 266 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races. First win of 2012. Fourth win, 13 top 10 finish in 15 races here at Richmond. And Kyle's now won 4 straight spring races here at Richmond, and that breaks a tie with Richard Petty, who did so from 1971 to 1973. So, Kyle, congratulations. Huge weekend for you, obviously, after yesterday. And not a bad way to start an early birthday week for you, too. So, happy early birthday. Talk about this, fantastic weekend and a great race tonight.
Yeah, thanks. It was an awesome weekend all around. You know, we unloaded here yesterday and had a decent car off the truck and was able to work on it and just kept making some changes to it, try to make it better for us. And, there through much of the race, we just kept ourselves in position and did what we needed to do to stay in the top 5 and had a good race car to do that with. And the guys on pit road gave me phenomenal stops to gain me ground every time, even when we were pulling spring rubbers. So can't say enough about those guys. And then, wherever that last caution came from, that was the saving grace, man. Just the luck of the day, and put us in the right position there coming down pit road behind Tony. And the guys did a fast pit stop, got us the lead off pit road, which was a huge advantage, just being able to give me the control of the restart and, not have to wait on Tony or cause myself to spin my tires or what have you and get behind. So, really helped me out. And once I got out front, I knew I had 10 laps. I could abuse the heck out of that thing and drive it for all it was worth, and didn't have to save any tires. So just kind of goes to show what kind of speed we had in our 18 Camry, M&M's Camry there, final 10 laps.
Kyle's now 11th in the points as well, also joined by crew chief Dave Rogers. Dave, it was a very interesting race all the way through, some green flag runs, obviously, and then, late race excitement once again. Talk about how it came by from your perspective.
Yeah, just really excited to finally get a points victory this season. But hats off to Kyle. I think the key to the game today was Kyle kept us in it all race. He never got frustrated or discouraged. Kyle said the car is pretty good. I thought we were off a little bit more than I thought it was going to be, and Kyle just did a great job giving us feedback, giving us direction on what he needed to make the car better, and was patient with us and just drove a smart race. And then at the end there, the pit crew, they had a fantastic stop there and was able to beat the 14 car off pit road and give Kyle that final restart.
Also joined by team owner Joe Gibbs, and Coach Dave just talked about a little bit of patience, and there's been some patience as the team's gone through the season to get to this point, get that first win of the year. How's that feel?
Well, it feels great. First thing I asked Kyle, I said, okay, you can tell me now, is it more fun winning as a car owner or a driver? And he was honest. He says as a driver. I said, see, I always get in the wrong end of everything. I never get to experience the super stuff. But
you won that little mini cup race against Norm, didn't you?
Yeah, I did that. But no, I think, I really didn't. I really felt like, with our team right now, I kind of look at us, the 18, our team here. We didn't change anything there. We had Dave coming back. I felt like Kyle, I really wasn't worried about a little bit of a slow start for us. You always get concerned when you don't jump out there and get a win, but I felt like that I had a lot of confidence in our team. And I think tonight was a good example. That was a total team effort. I think Dave did a great job. Obviously, our pit crew, that was awesome. Those guys are lightning quick. And then Kyle, I think, too, just as Dave said, stayed real patient, never worried about things. Even when the car was off a little bit, kept his poise, and things just turned out right for us in the end.
Thanks, Coach. You have questions for the gentleman up front, please raise your hand. We've got wireless mics for you. If you'd give us your name and affiliation before you ask. In the back here.
Mike Neff from FrontStretch.com. Kyle, if it wasn't for that last caution, do you think you had any chance of catching Tony?
Oh no, I was losing half a tenth to a tenth every lap on what Tony was doing up there. He was just so fast, and I was just then at that point. I kept trying and staying with him there early in that run to get him to pressure himself into using up his tires a little bit, and I can see him doing some of that. But then my car just started getting a little bit too tight in the center and a little bit too loose off, where I started losing ground to him. And once I about couldn't see him anymore, I just figured, okay, I'm gonna save what I've got here and just try to make it to the end here and see if any of the guys catch me from behind, give me something that I have left that I can race them with if they get to my back bumper. So no catching Stewart without that caution.
Madison Martin from Frostburg State University. You broke a record with Richard Petty tonight. How does that make you feel?
I didn't even know that we were tied for a record, but it's definitely pretty special to any time you're tied for a record with Richard Petty or you're able to break a record with that guy. He's just a class act and been in this sport forever, it feels like, and has done so many things and won so many races and championships and everything else. So he's one of the biggest icons of our sport. So for me to be up there in one of those, I guess you'd call it one of those situations that I was able to beat him on one of those records, that feels pretty good. Whether or not I'm ever able to beat any of his other records, that's to be seen. Hopefully I've got a long time to keep racing here.
Go to David Newton, please.
How'd it go, Bob?
Good segue. David Newton, ESPN.com. I was going to ask you, were you confused at all by what was going on out there with Carl's restart? And did you see the water bottle that brought out the caution?
Which caution? The last one? The restart and all what was going on, Tony was a lucky dog, but then they said no, he was ahead because he came off pit road already. So then that made us a lucky dog, and I'm like, man, that's a lucky break right there. That puts us right back in this thing. So then what was funny is we're the lucky dog, but then there's so many wave arounds and everything that happened. We restarted back in our same position because they all had to restart behind us. So I was like, all right, well, this is going really good. And then that was the point I think in the race where Stewart was just, I think it was lap 313 or something. Stewart was just driving away from me. I tried to get there to him, but every time I'd pass a lap car, he'd pass a lap car. There was always somebody in between us, and I was always just a little bit too far behind. So, and then I had no idea what caused the last caution. I didn't know what it was. So just glad there was something somewhere.
Got questions upstairs in the press box?
Kyle, Brian Belansky from RacingWire.info. 4 consecutive wins here, and a couple of those wins you were the dominant car all night. This one you were not. What is it about the spring in Richmond that brings out the best in you, especially at the end of the race?
I'm not sure. I've had that question already a couple times tonight, but it's just something that keeps going well for us, and it probably could have been this spring Richmond the year before that too. Unfortunately, last few laps I got into a little tangle with pretty popular race car driver. So, but besides that, I mean, this place has always been great to me. I've run well here in the Cup cars for a long time and won my first Nationwide Series race here. So, it's just, I guess, being the last week of April, first week of May, birthday week, it's always kind of fun too. Won here on my birthday a few years ago, and coming up on another birthday. So every time we come to Richmond in the spring, it's really good, but yet I feel really bad because I'm getting older.
Other question upstairs?
Monty Dutton, Gaston Gazette for Coach Gibbs, and for Kyle too, for that matter. But this is the first time ever that there have been some people who would claim that your team was not the best Toyota team, and competition is supposed to raise the level for everyone. And so do you think that the success of Michael Waltrip has led in some ways to this victory?
Well, I think, first of all, I want to say a big thanks to Toyota. Great partner for us. It's a thrill for us to be a part of their group. And I think we have a great relationship with Michael's group and with Michael Waltrip Racing and Rob and everybody over there. And hopefully, because we do, with our partnership and working through Toyota, we do share some things. But also, I think the great thing about our sport, what I love about this sport, you got to earn it. and you can't fake it. There's nothing you can do about it. You're either good or you're not good. You're going to be up front. You're not going to be up front. And I love the competitive part of it. And so I think having partners like that push you, I think it's great. And I applaud them, what they've been able to do over there. And I think they've stepped it up. And hopefully at some point, that's up to us to try and keep up with them.
Another question upstairs?
Yes, Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wide Service. Kyle, as you came to the finish line, you said, "We're back." Did you look on this race coming in as really a pivotal race, even though it's only 9 races into the season, and as an indicator of really where your program is right now?
Bristol was another one that I always looked forward to and being able to run competitive at. And, we got wrecked 25 laps into it, so we really didn't get a chance to showcase what I felt like our car was going to be able to do that day. And, at the mile and a half, I feel like I'm a little bit behind there. Just don't quite know what it takes to be fast, where Denny's really figured it out over the years we've been able to work together. And so we're working on that, getting better. Top 10 in Kansas, I think, was an improvement for us. So, to evaluate our program, we feel like we've definitely had some ups and downs. We definitely feel like we haven't run to the competitiveness that we want to. We're not out there leading all the laps and running up front and doing what Biffle's been able to do, or Martin Truex has been able to do, or some of those guys, But, I think to the question before is that, those guys at MWR, they've run a lot better this year, and it's great to see. They learned a lot of things from what we've been doing over the past, and it's our turn to try to learn some things from what they're doing and make ourselves better yet, and to try to just keep doing that to make all of our organization successful.
Come back downstairs to Jim Utter.
Observer, I actually was going to ask a similar question as Reed, but for Dave. What were your thoughts about, there was talk about team being in a slump or whatever so far this season. What were your thoughts on where you guys stood coming into this race weekend?
Yeah, as a crew chief, honestly, I don't focus on that. I have to perform a job, and my job is to bring the best race cars I can to the racetrack each and every week, regardless of whether or not people are saying we're in a slump or not. Obviously, a year ago, I think you look back and we were leading the most laps and contending for the win nearly every week at this point in the season, and we're not living up to that standard. That just tells me I have to work harder. I got to bring better race cars to the racetrack, and I feel that this race is somewhat of an indication that we're turning the corner. I think Kansas was an indication. Kyle came back after Kansas and just gave me phenomenal feedback about what we need in our mile-and-a-half program. And then we come back to Richmond, a place that we think we should run good, and we do. So, I don't think one race makes or breaks the season, but I'm pleased that we were able to run up front here. Now look forward to going to Talladega and Darlington, Charlotte, and seeing what we can do at those tracks.
Any other questions downstairs? David Newton.
Yeah, Kyle, Joe was mentioning about whether it feels better to win as an owner or a driver. Last night you were really emotional. I think probably tears were in your eyes at some point. Is it really better to win as a driver, or was last night topping all that?
I think the biggest thing about last night was just that, it's something that I'm trying to build and make successful, and it's got my name on it. So we're doing the best we can with the people we have and with what we're doing there. So, it's just a matter of working through the pitfalls sometimes and working through the challenges that lie ahead. And Joe told me before I got going, Dave told me before I got going what all it was going to entail. And just knowing that we're working hard there. But to see all of that come together for not only myself, but Samantha and Rick Wren and all the people that pour their heart and soul into that place, it's pretty special. So I haven't spent a lot of time there, honestly, this year, as much as I'd like to maybe, but I've been at Dave's office a lot. And so I know where my priorities lie. And, it was just cool to see KBM get its first win, hopefully first of many. Joe hopes not. But it'll be fun. It's a fun little rivalry we got going on for now.
Joe Manzer, NASCAR.com. So, Kyle, is it harder to win as a owner or a driver?
Oh, it's way harder to win as an owner, for sure. I'm standing there on the pit wall. I got no control of what's going on. You know, I'm about ready to just come on the radio and yell at Kurt and tell him what all he needs to be doing. But I'm glad Joe's buttons broke.
I think you broke a few of your rules tonight.
Why?
3 wide or outside, 3 laps in a row.
Oh yeah, yeah. There were some times I wasn't listening to myself, but we made it all happen. So maybe I've got more faith in my ability than some others, but I don't know.
Mike Neff, frontstretch.com again. 2 quick ones for you, Kyle. Your win tonight ties you with your brother for all-time Cup wins. Does that kind of add a little spice to that rivalry? And secondly, when you took the lead on the last restart and you looked in the mirror and saw the 88 behind you, did you flash back to a couple years back and wonder if he could get to you, if he might be a little retaliation?
You know, Kurt and I, we were actually tied once before. I think it was last year, maybe. And then he won 1 or 2 or whatever, got back ahead of me. So, no, it's cool. It's cool that we're tied for wins like that, you know. And, you know, it's neat that we're still racing around here in the Sprint Cup Series, hopefully with many more wins that we could both achieve. So, besides that point, you know, having the 88 behind me, I was more worried about the 14 at first. And then I saw I drug the 88 along with me there on that bottom, on that restart. And I just knew that if I hit my marks and did my job, that we were pretty fast and that I could pull away. So when I looked up my mirror, seen him a little ways back, I just didn't even look anymore and just started concentrating on what was out in front of me and making sure I hit my marks to not let that opportunity arise.
Hi, Kyle. Kim Robertson, Insider Racing News. Next week's Talladega, but looking ahead, I think I saw you watching the Darlington ad that said the rematch of Kyle versus Kevin. And I'm just wondering, is this kind of give you momentum going into Darlington now that you've got the win under your belt, putting all that stuff from last year behind you and just focusing strictly on getting your second win of the season and marching forward?
Oh, that stuff's been behind us for a long time. We're talking 300 probably 50-something days ago. So, you know, just having the win here at Richmond is always special. It's really cool to get any win. It's so tough in this sport to know what you're going to have any given week, and to come out here and run well like this is good. To go to Talladega next week, anything can unfold there. I think I've been crashed all but one time, and in that time that I didn't crash, I almost crashed and won the race, so that was cool. But you know, going back to Darlington, it's a place that's really tough, really challenging. I won our race there. First year it was repaved, and it's been really fast. Last year we had a really good car. Unfortunately, we had some pit road miscues that got us kind of caught behind a little, but looking forward to going back there and seeing what Darlington's got in store for us again. Hearing that track colors changed a little bit, so maybe the grip level is going to be not old Darlington, but something similar.
Any other questions? Downstairs. I also believe we're clear upstairs. Up. Stand by. We have one upstairs. Go ahead, please.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Can you talk about your cool box malfunctioning? About what time did that start happening, and what other gremlins were affecting you?
The cool box unit, unfortunately, never worked. I turned it on probably lap 30, 35, something like that. Just I started breathing a little bit hard and kind of fogging my shield, so I just turned it on to see if I couldn't get some air in there to defog the shield on my helmet, and it didn't work. So just flipped open my visor and kept digging, and never had any other issues besides that. So everything else inside the car was good.
Any other questions upstairs? All clear upstairs. Anyone else downstairs? All right, gentlemen. Kyle, Dave, Coach, congratulations.
Thank you. Hey, thank you for M&M's too. Appreciate everything they did. I didn't mention them, the whole deal. It's awesome. Family was here and it was great. We appreciate them. Thank y'all.